Shoot the strong wind, execute the seal of the sword, shoot a 9-yang arrow, and drop all the fertile Jiao. Suddenly wake up and discover that he has suddenly become the Housheng Yifu Zi, still on his way to join the Martial Arts Alliance. May I ask if it's possible not to participate? Even if you participate, can you live a few more episodes? Give me a chance, I am a pillar of the righteous path. Keywords of the novel. Just appearing in adventure. No pop-ups, just appearing in adventure. Don't want to be a fairy mountain. Download the full text of Just Appearing in Adventure. Don't want to be a fairy mountain. Read the latest chapters of Just Appearing in Adventure. Don't want to be a fairy mountain. Chapter 1. On the Road to Xianshan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 On the Road to Xianshan. Adversity, a world full of disasters and hardships. Enduring hardships, after the disaster of the 8 Qi evil gods, new conspiracies and disasters are coming. In a lush green forest, a golden meteor streaked past and hit the ground, causing smoke and dust to rise. The air wave destroyed all the trees around it, the smoke and dust dissipated, and a figure gradually appeared in the dissipation of the protective golden light. She has a delicate appearance, dressed in a purple robe, with long black hair tied up and wearing a jade-inlaid silver crown. Due to the sudden descent, some of her hair scattered and drifted in the wind. With confusion in his eyes and a furrowed brow, he looked around and heard a hoarse and weathered voice. Where am I? Why did I suddenly come here? My voice changed, even my clothes changed. Suddenly, a large amount of memories flooded his mind, and the pain made him unable to help but hold his head in both hands and rolled desperately on the ground, with screams incessantly in his ears. At this moment, he only felt that a century had passed, and the pain had dissipated. After the fusion was completed, Song Yang rubbed his temples. I have traveled through hardships, but I didn't expect to catch up with the tide of time travel. Song Yang had a bitter smile on his face. Although he longed for the world depicted by the hardships, it did not mean that he wanted to come to this world. In this world, ordinary people refresh their daily lives, and from time to time, there is a wave of destruction from a big shot. Although they are all stopped, the righteous path suffers heavy casualties. Either they become undead or they remain hidden. Otherwise, if you wash white and weaken by 3 points, your body will move around the world by 7 points, and your body will be suspended for 10 points. If you have nothing to do, you will rush to the small forest in a hurry. And now Song Yang is in the small forest, and he has also become the Housheng Yifu Zi. He was instantly stunned when he first appeared and didn't even have an idol. In the invincible protective aura, he ran away like a dragon trap. In the memory of Song Yang at this moment, Master Yi was invited by the unparalleled sword Lord Ichi Xing to join the Martial Arts Alliance at Wuya Cliff, becoming a representative of the 8 Directions Martial Bao. It is the representative of this Bao, indicating that Song Yang has already half-stepped onto the Immortal Mountain, waiting for his foot to ascend directly to the sky. Just as Song Yang was struggling whether or not to wade into this muddy water, a strange voice rang in his mind, detected host awakening, memory fully fused, system turned on. Issuing beginner gift packages to the host. Novice task has been launched. Task 1. Join the Martial Arts Alliance, rectify and benefit the world, and reward 1 martial arts lottery card. Task 2. Immediately turn back and seclude without asking questions, rewarding the chance encounter with wrongdoing. Song Yang looked bewildered. He had to die sooner or later. Do you have any other options? Yes, this system is very user-friendly. You can choose neither option and directly take you to Xianshan. Please collect the beginner gift package and select the task as soon as possible. Song Yang, who had no other choice, had no choice but to complete task 1. Only it had a slight turning point and received the beginner gift package. In front of Song Yang, a gift box that only he could see appeared. With a gentle touch of his finger, colorful fireworks sprayed out, revealing 3 things. Song Yang carefully examined these 3 things. A martial arts fusion card, a body panel display, and a weapon lottery card, after reading the usage instructions, the martial arts fusion card was torn in half by Song Yang and transformed into light, blending into Song Yang's body. The power that was originally unable to be mobilized in his body was completely integrated with martial arts, and the panel also directly displays the status of Song Yang, name. Yifu Zi, Song Yang, title. Housheng Realm. Mid-innate stage, realm division, second rate, first. Class, innate, top innate, super innate, near divine, martial arts. Shooting from the 9 heavens with the sun, arrows conquer the world, 1 arrow sets in the 9 provinces, arrows wash away demons and bring peace, 2 arrows transform dragons and tigers, 3 arrows of the sun, moon, and stars prove the heavenly heart equipment. Zhengxin Bao, cold iron arrow item. 1 weapon lottery card points. None, store not open, this is too poor. The whole body is better with this bow. Although martial arts may look majestic and domineering, they are just second-rate martial arts. No wonder I hit a soy sauce right after appearing, my realm is low, my martial arts skills are not good, and I even encountered a big boss. Sigh. Song Yang, who had also used the remaining weapon lottery cards, looked at the various weapons on the turntable in front of him, and his eyes were dazzled as the hands swiftly passed by, hurriedly shouted, "Stop!" The pointer slowly stopped on a bow and arrow, and then a flash of light appeared in Song Yang's hand at the moment of purchase. The name of the bow was reflected in Song Yang's mind, the Qiankuan Bao, also known as the Xianyuan Bao, mythical version, uses the zhe of Mount Taishan. Nanwu, the horn of Yenyo, the balance of Jingmi, and the glue of river fish to make a bow. Forged by Emperor Xianyuan Huang, Qiyu was pierced through the heart with 3 arrows using this bow, indicating its power, which is a pair of the heavenly shock arrow. Looking at this famous bow and arrow, Song Yang was still very satisfied. With a wave of his hand, the weapon instantly dissipated into a light spot and was collected. From now on, Song Yang will be the Holy Master Yi, starting a new life. I stood up, patted the soil on my body, and looked at the motionless system. Master Yi shook his head helplessly, with a look of death as if returning home. He was full of true energy and his figure flashed, transforming into a stream of light and flying towards the direction of the cliff without any cliff. On the way back, Master Yi curiously asked about the system. Where did the original Master Yi go? You are it, it's just a sudden appearance of the system that causes you to awaken memories from your past life. After speaking, no matter how much Master Yi inquired about the system, there was no answer. Seeing this, Master Yi could only give up and continue to follow towards his destination. On the other side, in the dark of night, in order to reach the Middle Yin realm, Hongqian Shui and Furong Zhuge arrived at the outskirts of the Endless End and were surprised to see a huge sinkhole appear at the scene. As mentioned in the letter, there has been a change in the Endless Horizon. Entering the Middle Yin realm may cause sudden changes and bring about new troubles. Red Dust Snow said calmly to the Furong Forger. At this moment, a familiar poem title came to my ears. With a heart but without a heart, the heart is in the world, full of emotions and sentimentality, with a connection to the world of rivers and lakes. Let me explain the situation. Mo Xiaonu slowly walked out holding a folding fan and explained the situation here to the two of them. It turns out that the calamity of the evil gods has just been resolved, but the evil stains left by the evil gods have become a difficult problem to solve. Mo Xiaonu followed all the way to this place and found that the leader of the Lu Alliance, Lu Xuanyuan, was also here. Lu Xuanyuan said, there are rumors in the martial arts world that there are 2 possible solutions to evil stains. One is the Earth Sea Solitary Fortress, and the other is the North Sea Lingzhou. They want to investigate and then turn into light and leave. Mo Xiaonu looked at the departing Lu Xuyuan and murmured to himself, the sudden emergence of 2 unfamiliar places, both claiming to be able to solve the evil infection, makes people doubt what conspiracy there is. And what are your plans for Lexunyuan? Later, several experts appeared on the Endless End. Through the initiator Chen Wai Gu Biao Yi Qi Xing, more people were informed of the hidden crises in the martial arts world, and it was decided to convene various experts to form a martial arts alliance tonight at the endless end to jointly deal with more disasters in the martial arts world. The martial arts alliance is the virtue mentioned in the letter. Nowadays, the martial arts world cannot only focus on itself, but should also unite. Do you know that under the cover of the nest, there is no complete egg? Hongchen Shui and Furong Zhuka strongly agree with the establishment of the martial arts alliance. Mo Xiaonu is counting the time. Our first task is to assist you in entering the underworld. It should be time for everyone. As the words fell, do not summon the slave to wave the hand of the fan, raise the true element, and drink lightly. The water waves move the lotus flower in an instant, a huge amount of energy gathered, and at the same time, the invited martial artists from all directions gathered together, illuminating the entire night sky with protective radiance. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Emergency Avoidance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Emergency Avoidance. With the energy emitted by Mo Xiaonu, the experts who gathered appeared one after another, and the poetic titles indicating their identities sounded in different directions. The sea of love is boundless, the young master is passionate, and the wind and moon leave traces. The representative of Qi, the young master of the flower passing love moves slowly forward, with a movement of his body, leaving traces of wind and moon towards the round ball formed by the Qi force, and the Bao representative who should have been the second to take action is still on his way. At this moment, a move called Ice Flame stimulates the heavenly Hua and injects Qi into it, which leads to the familiar poem title. Purple Universe Giant Hand, extremely refined by wind and clouds, with heaven and earth in hand, creating and transforming Mai Yan. The representative of the sword, Jiwan Zian Xinju, reappeared in the mortal world, which also surprised Prince Qing. The sound of the piano was melodious and brought to the scene. The representative of the wonder was the appearance of the Yuqin elderly man, who could only see his fingers lightly flicking the strings of the piano, emitting a purple sound blade and infusing it into the balls subsequently. Furong Zhuka, Jiao Tiangong and Spear. Luoshan, Hongchen Shui successively retained their moves. Clever Lotus the startled swan rides on the cloud dragon and flies into the night. Mo Zainuan looked around and was surprised why the representative of the Bao had not yet arrived when a strange poem sounded. Shoot the strong wind, execute the seal of the sword, and with one arrow, the 9 suns will fall completely on the fertile scorpion. The golden protective aura appeared in mid-air, and the abundant arrow energy suddenly hit. Leaving a move above the energy, sorry for the delay. Housheng Yifu Zi explained to everyone present, but I muttered inwardly, this poem title is too unpleasant to listen to. When I think it over, I must change it. Later, Mo Xiaonu invited the summoner to appear and saw 10,000 light swords paving the way, dispelling darkness and intimidating the 4 fields with a majestic aura. In ancient times, there was no one, and one's thoughts traveled thousands of miles to discuss spring and autumn. The mountain and moon lie down with a smile, and the solitary mark of a sword stays outside the dust, the solitary mark outside the dust. Yi Qi Xing reappears, his body shining with rosy light, slowly falling in front of everyone. Thank you all for accepting someone's invitation. As the matter is of great importance, everyone was able to arrive in time. Please give your regards first. Your Excellency is the inviter, and there is still a representative of the sword who has not come yet. Mo Xiaonu shook his folding fan lightly and asked. As soon as the words fell, a huge phoenix flew in the sky, startling and terrifying, with a phoenix-shaped sword energy piercing the sky and leaving a move. King Ju, the purple yen god, has a dazzling vision, breaking the heavenly sword, master. Who is it, Your Excellency? Yi Qixing waved the floating dust and explained. Sword Wind, relying on love heaven. The legendary figure in the sword world has been reclusive for a long time, and I didn't expect to invite him again. Later, Yi Qixing gave a detailed explanation of the catastrophe he mentioned. Originally, in addition to gathering and annihilating the 4 outer realms of suffering, there was also a realm beyond the heavens, and there were 6 spiritual realms connecting these outer realms. The establishment of the martial arts alliance was not only for the purpose of inheriting and cultivating talents, but also for the sake of foresight. After a long discussion, everyone discussed it. Afterwards, Yikixing summoned 2 newly cultivated seeds of the 7th cultivation of martial arts in Alpha, the Star Sea Swordsman, to accompany Hongqian Shui and Xiao Tiangong. I saw Mo Xiaonu unleashing a massive aura in mid-air, rushing straight down to break through the blockade of the evil Dai. Yifu Zi, who had been silently observing everyone next to him, suddenly had a task issued by the system in his mind. Task 1. Grievance brings retribution. If you commit sins that will kill you, enter the Middle Ean realm and destroy the plan of the 9 heavens demon lords. Demon beginning. Reward. Starting from the mall, 2 martial arts lottery tickets. Task 2. On the way back to the later clan, shout out the dark history of the 9 heavens demon lord and the beginning of the demon. Reward. Encounter the one who created evil unexpectedly. You are better off than dead. Carrot oh carrot, here again, are you giving me this choice? Next time, if you want me to do anything, just say it directly and don't do these fancy things. I haven't lived enough yet. System understanding. Are you waiting for me here? Give me a trick, be ruthless. Yifu Zi, who was bargaining with the system, saw that Mo Xiaonu had opened a direct passage to the Middle Ean realm. The passage appeared, and red dust snow and others melted light into it. Seeing this situation, Master Yi didn't have time to explain it to Yi Qixing and quickly entered the passage. After Master Yi entered, the passage closed again, causing everyone present to look confused. Is this person reliable? Why did he enter without saying a word? The young master folded his fan and covered his face with a hint of suspicion, saying, I believe he must have his own ideas, but he won't deviate from the right path. If there is a conspiracy, I will definitely cut it off without mercy. Yi Qixing spoke slowly, and everyone nodded before leaving. Master Yi, who was unaware of everyone's thoughts, followed the passage all the way to the Middle Ean realm, but had already been separated from the red dust snow and others. To be honest, I watched the entire drama and I don't know how they disappeared. Master Yi glanced at the desolate Middle Ean realm, and the oppressive feeling that had been surrounding his heart disappeared. With a flash of spiritual light, Master Yi's destiny to make soy sauce had disappeared due to his own choice. Yifu Zi took a deep breath and felt that everyone was much more relaxed. Master Yi, this name looks too old. Since the fate has passed, I will be called Yi in the future. According to legend, the Middle Ean realm is the boundary between life and death, as well as a mysterious realm where living beings and living souls coexist. He arrived at the outskirts of the Great Wall, a dangerous and unknown mud plow forest prison. With steady steps, the meteor strode towards the desperate Great Wall, taking action while sorting out the plot in his mind about this period of time and the arrangement of the 6 heavens demon lord in this place. During this period in the Middle Ean realm, the chickens and dogs that have been stirred up by the Metamorphosis class under the command of Demon Sure are restless, because the Metamorphosis class can control evil stains and simulate others, which is very tricky. The soul controllers in the Middle Ean realm suffered heavy losses as a result, and Mo Sure would take advantage of the chaos to steal the body of the celestial Yao Emperor from the prison of the universe, transport it to the Middle Ean realm for transit, and bring it into the underworld. And with the help of the Sword of the Divine Realm, he opened the channel and sent the Death Yang into the underworld. He also sent the main soul of the soul-splitting fairy to infiltrate the righteous path in the Middle Ean realm, taking advantage of the opportunity to act, achieve near gods, revive the past great single platoon, and achieve the scene of a group of heroes competing for supremacy. His plan is to land on the moon and overlook the world. He was pondering when suddenly a wave of awe struck, causing the surrounding land to break apart. 5 or 6 metamorphosis forms surrounded him, blocking Yi's retreat. Looking at the posture in front of him, he thought. Just to test my skills. With a sneer, push your palms forward and unleash a powerful force towards the transformative type. The transformation class formed a formation to easily resist, and with a movement of their body, their sharp claws that could tear everything apart rushed towards the vital parts of Yi's body. Yi lightly tapped the ground with his toes, his body like a flowing cloud unable to move freely. He easily dodged the pincer attacks of a few people, and both sides were deadlocked. He held it in his right hand and a bronze ancient arrow appeared. The head of the earth-shaking arrow appears in the world, using arrows to move swords. One arrow breaks through the air without leaving a trace. As soon as the move was launched, the majestic arrow Qi tore through the space and rushed towards the transformation type. The transformation type couldn't dodge in time and suddenly turned into nothing. They all have top-notch strength, not inferior. In the early stages of life, they face each other without any special circumstances, only the fate of defeat. It would take some effort to take them down as I used to be. However, E, who had already undergone a transformation, was unusually relaxed at this moment because he had already used the 3 martial arts lottery cards rewarded by the system. I have drawn the foundation of Sanjia Zi, Xianing 12 swords, and the technique of external incarnation. E, who possessed the 3rd class of sons, successfully broke through to the later stage of the innate period, only 1 step away from reaching the peak of the innate period. However, no matter how hard E tried, he could not touch that layer. Helpless, it's possible that the opportunity hasn't arrived yet. He comforted himself and then kept wandering in the Nili Forest prison, eliminating the transformative beings in this area and weakening the helper of the demonic beginning in the Middle Ean realm. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Tiger Mouth Snatching. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Tiger Mouth Snatching. In the Mud Plow Forest prison, he transforms into a sniper, the god of death, coming and going without a trace, taking the enemy's head from a distance, causing a transformation that cannot be peaceful. On the way to slaying and transforming creatures, he suddenly discovered that his dead body could be recycled by the system, earning 10 points. Although it was far from being exchanged for items in the mall, little by little made a lot. E, who was pleasantly surprised, worked even harder. In a short period of time, the entire Mud Plow Forest prison suffered heavy casualties in the transformation class. The righteous people in the Middle Ean realm and the demon beginning who is far from suffering have received news one after another. Who took the initiative? Did you find anything? Mo Sure, who was still strategizing in adversity, frowned and ordered his subordinates to investigate the identity and purpose of this person, while also accelerating the plans of all parties. In the desperate Great Wall, as the acting lord of the city, Moon Zongfeng is worried about the assassination of the spirit controller. Metamorphosis disguises themselves as familiar people, deceiving them of their trust and taking the opportunity to obtain intelligence, and getting rid of them. Nowadays, more than half of the soul controllers in the Middle Ean realm are injured or killed, and everyone is in danger. How exactly should we break the game? The moon-hidden peak stands on the wall of the endless Great Wall, gazing at the surrounding scenery and murmuring to itself. At this moment, a letter appeared out of thin air. Yu Zongfeng gently picked it up, opened the letter, and carefully read the content inside. A mysterious powerhouse appears in the Nili Forest prison, hunting and transforming creatures. Is this a new turning point or another conspiracy of transformation? It's a tumultuous time. In the deep valley of the dark night in the Middle Ean realm, the transformed Jin Wuxiang disguised as a creature is wandering around, killing the spirit controller. Fake Yuan Wuxiang approaches Bingyi and informs them that they have received the message. The next target of the transformation class is to arrest Tianya. The two of them rushed towards each other, and halfway through, taking advantage of the moment when Bing Wui was anxious and distracted, Yuan Wuxiang, who was full of righteousness, revealed his true form. He used extreme force and was ruthless, reaching the critical point. Although Bing Wui was on guard, it was already too late and she was suddenly severely injured, spitting blood from her mouth. Fake Yuan Wuxiang was pressing forward step by step, with deadly moves. Ice Wui dodged back and forth, but her severely injured body was at the end of a strong crossbow, and hot blood slowly dripped down. Ice Wui, who was injured and fell to the ground, struggled to get up and make a final struggle. Fake Yuan Wuxiang slowly approached, with a pitiful expression on his face, and he clapped his palm. One move will end your pain, and then I will send your admirer down to accompany you. At this moment, an arrow from outside the sky, as fast as thunder and lightning, struck towards the false homeland of Yuan Wuxiang. Fake Yuan Wuxiang couldn't dodge, and the energy from the iron arrow tore through his entire arm, revealing his true body. Who dares to harm my good deeds? At this moment, the familiar poem horn rings. In the world of Xiao Ao and Ba Biao, he stands alone as a majestic figure, accustomed to the mysterious shadows without a trace. Ren Taishu, the wind howls in the desolate wind. It turned out that the real Zhen Wuxiang arrived, facing the injured and fallen Ice Wui, burning with anger, on the distant mountain peak. Yi's cold eyes met, and then he turned around and left. In Yuan Wuxiang's hand, the silver dart Xuantao's head showed a hidden edge. The transformed type had no time to dodge. In the moment of drawing the sword, a silver light flashed past, and their soul had already returned to Jiuquan. Put the sword into its sheath, pick up the cold iron arrow on the ground, feel the remaining traces of the move, and let out a sigh of admiration. Pick up the fallen Ice Wui and look towards the peak, but at this moment, there is already no one left, turning into light and heading straight towards the direction of the Great Wall. On the other hand, Yi, who had left, fell into a predicament. He got lost, and for the first time, there were not many places where he lived in the Middle Yin realm. Looking at the unchanging scenery around him, his head grew a bit big. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have pretended to be an extraordinary expert. It was great back then, but now it's hard to handle. Thinking about it, he returned to the original peak and watched Yuan Wuxiang and others walk away, leaving only the howling cold wind. At this moment, Yi saw several shooting stars streaking across the night sky. With his keen eye as an archer, it was obvious that someone had come to the Middle Yin realm again. Estimating the time, he had already arrived at the Middle Yin realm for a period of time. Recalling the plot in his mind, he speculated that it might be Yikixing, Yushue, Qiushui, and others, and Yikixing had now become Xiaoqi. Then he rushed towards the closest landing point to himself, only to see countless demonic black armies gathering in the underworld, with a gorgeous coffin lying on the ground in the middle. Infinite, controlled by the demon's soul, issued orders to the demonic black army. A sword cloth garment disguised from a metamorphosis class reports the situation to it. He cautiously approached and listened to their conversation. It seems that the body lying in the coffin is the body of the Qin Tianyao Emperor. If they want to transport their bodies back to the underworld, they must pass through the Star River Waterfall, but it is blocked by the desperate Great Wall. So the purpose of these black demon armies is self-evident. The Great Wall is in dire straits. Yi Naohai, who was thinking about it, remembered the sound of the system and couldn't help but feel a tightness in his heart. A system that usually doesn't have any movement, suddenly releasing a task, definitely doesn't have a good heart. As expected, he fixed his eyes on it and said, "Good guy, task 1. Rescue the bathing snow who is about to fall into the hands of the demon soul separation strategy Meng, and reward the martial arts lottery card *1, task 2. Seize the body of Emperor Shenxianyo, avoid falling into the hands of evil, help Zhou commit evil, reward 2 martial arts lottery cards and 2 weapon lottery cards." Note, this task can be taken simultaneously. Simultaneously picking up. You're hinting at me. You're clearly asking me to die. Some crazy E roared inwardly towards the system. The system will not release deadly tasks, everything is tailored for you and can quickly make you stronger. There won't be pies falling from the sky, risks and benefits coexist. If you want to survive in this world without giving, how can you become stronger? Faced with the explanation of the system, he also understood that in order to survive in adversity, he lacked sufficient knowledge and qualifications. Although he was familiar with the plot, he could only rely on the system to quickly become stronger, seeking wealth insurance. He, who has made up his mind, uses the true Yuan technique, the hand-turning technique, and the technique of external incarnation. Soon 2 identical figures appeared, and then the 3 people assigned tasks and quietly waited for the opportunity to appear. At this moment, a figure fell from the air and fell heavily to the ground. The smoke and dust filled the air, causing Ji Meng to be startled. The fake sword and cloth clothes were shocked for a moment. Was it exposed? The falling shower snow slowly stood up, looked around, and saw familiar figures. "Infinite brother, how could you be here?" But as she spoke, Bathing Snow felt the familiar infinity emanating a cold aura all over her body, her eyes filled with slaughter and cruelty. No, no, you're not Infinite Brother. Who the hell are you? Without answering Bathing Snow's question, with a puzzled plan in his heart, he flashed up to Autumn Water. Yushue didn't have time to dodge and fainted from several moves in her body. Ji Meng held the Autumn Water in one hand and handed him over to the fake sword and cloth clothes. Take him to the Burial Soul Valley and take good care of him. Maybe he will be of some use. In addition, send more people to investigate carefully. Who exactly has come to the Middle Ean realm? Upon receiving the order, Fake Sword Cloth Robe led Autumn Water towards the Burial Soul Pass, but did not notice the figure following behind. Ji Meng was guarding the coffin alone on this side. Seeing the opportunity was ripe, he lifted the heart-shaped bow and lightly tied the bowstring with a cold iron arrow in his hand, fully lifting the true element and using extreme moves. A single arrow sets the sun and startles heaven and earth. The arrow sets at sunset, and the true meaning on the arrow appears. A scorching and burning sun is shot down by someone, turning into a shooting star in the sky, breaking through the night sky and rushing towards the direction where Ji Meng was. The dazzling light illuminated the entire underworld, causing a great earthquake to crack. At the moment when Ji Meng realized it was already too late, the light made Ji Meng's eyes tightly closed. Although he couldn't see it, the scorching temperature had already doubled Ji Meng's sweat flow. With a profound understanding of the strategy, Jin Yuan gathered his hands, and the chills spread through the forest. Ice and cold Sha, the two extreme moves meet, ice and fire, yin and yang collide and blend with each other, and the surrounding space is suddenly shrouded in thick fog. The strong cannot be distracted when fighting. And while riding the strategy of deceiving the enemy, the masked man wearing a black night coat has already arrived less than a few dozen meters in front of him. I saw the masked man lightly tapping his finger, and a sword aura struck. Ji Meng was injured on the spot, with blood streaming down his spine. When Ji Meng was injured, the masked person's body swayed and he came to the coffin. He picked up the body of Emperor Zhu Tianyao and took an arrow step, running a distance of several hundred meters. In the distance, a figure bent its bow to stop the masked person from walking away, but then disappeared without a trace. When Ji Meng blocked the attack and adjusted his true energy, he looked at the empty coffin and exerted force with both hands, and the coffin suddenly turned into nothing. Damn it, who dares to sabotage my plan? I will cut him to pieces. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The Rise of Hardship. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The Rise of Hardship. Far away in dire straits, Empress Ho Ba of the Yenluo Ghost Prison personally appeared and forcefully descended upon the West Lotus Temple of the End of the Dharma, enveloping the entire temple with boundless pressure. I have heard that the Buddha's edict is with you. Hand over the Buddha's edict and submit to the ghosts and demons. I can consider keeping your lives. The 6 precepts are unbreakable, and there is no hidden law in every way. The 2 guardians of Shilian Temple, the double saints and the 6 precepts, did not answer the question of Wuzong. They both headed towards the Empress's Huba, and the 3 strong forces met to shake the earth. As soon as the profound dual saints of Buddhism clashed with the unfathomable Empress Ho Ba, blood flowed from their mouths. Knowing that they were invincible, the 2 envoys sent a message of evacuation towards the depths of the temple. In order to ensure the safety of the monks and the pilgrimage to the Holy Buddha, the 2 saints set up a Buddhist formation to trap the Empress Ho Ba. However, Empress Dowager Ho Ba held a divine weapon that ascended the heavenly ghost ridge, and her prestige was even stronger. With a wave of her divine weapon, the formation was broken in response to the sound, and the protector Xianshan was killed on the spot, with no bones left. Entering the deep hall of the temple, the monks around had already evacuated, leaving only the Holy Buddha quietly watching the arrival of the Empress and Empress Ba, intending to make a final move. Taking advantage of the moment when Empress Ho Ba was holding the Buddha's ultimatum, she was enveloped by a grand-breaking magic array. With a wave of her ghost whip, the evil force triggered it, and then the array was broken in response. What was the end of her journey to the Holy Buddha? And suddenly, deep in the depths of the ghost, the earth shook, and the colorful glow shone in the sky, then dissipated. The lotus at the end of the day followed closely with the glow, and was surprised to see the 7 Rui Yutan mentioned by the Venerable Buddha appear on the tomb of the heavenly ghost. What kind of calculation will be involved? In the depths of the underworld, within the mysterious 6-soul demon pass upon seeing the origins with the phantom meteor, the evil creator looked at the origins with the same appearance as the 9 heavens Xuanzuan, and the phantom meteor was immediately shocked. The Buddha's sword tells the story of crossing into a world of hope for extinction, a world shrouded in darkness and devastation, where bloodthirsty individuals are hunting and killing human people. The Buddha's sword said that the Buddha's seal flickered at his feet and he forcefully repelled the bloodthirsty. Just then, a Confucian man arrived, carrying the sword of the righteous Dharma. Although his face was old and his arm was broken, his Confucian pride and righteousness remained unchanged. The person who came here is the Dharma Confucian Emperor, who ordered the Lord of Dan Xian to serve the heavens. The two met and their swords were drawn and crossbows were drawn. Dark evil Emperor, what kind of conspiracy is it to change back to what the Buddha's sword said? Without waiting for a response, the righteous sword appeared behind me, and the righteous energy of heaven and earth spread on the sword, revealing the true body of evil beings. I can touch the Buddha's sword but there is no abnormality. I am surprised to see that the Lord Feng Tian has retracted the Dharma. At this moment, Sword Lord 12 Hatred was tracking Tian Zi, who had crossed the Buddha's sword with a different purpose. After some explanation, Jun Feng Tian temporarily believed that the Buddha's sword was not the dark evil emperor, and the Buddha's sword also learned about the changes in the world from it. When killing the son of evil, there was a severe loss of power, and the forces of good and evil collided and distorted time and space, creating a world of hope for extinction and giving birth to the dark evil emperor. A few people discussed, and Buddha's sword decided to go to the Atonement Tower. Lord Feng Tian, Sword Lord 12 Hatred, and Tian Zi decided to accompany them, but they didn't know anything about it. The Dark Evil Emperor is also waiting at the Redemption Tower for the arrival of the Buddha sword. Falling on the other side of the Middle Yin realm, Xiaoqi, who had been transformed by I Ching, was saved by Tired Harvest Heaven. During their conversation, Xiaoqi, the amnestic I Ching, learned from Tired Harvest Heaven that he was one of the 3 bloodlines of a martial arts person. At this moment, Yu Zongfeng and Lu Dudiank were both injured, bringing shocking news. The desperate Great Wall suddenly fell, and Yuan Wuxiang and others were trapped inside the wall. This news is true or false. In the hourglass of time and space, the use of the technique by Ji Chong Air sends the spirits of Lai Hong Jiao and Gan Wu Hen into the past, making up for their regrets and saving their close friends. What is the purpose of the hermit expert Ji Chong Air helping the two of them? In the isolated castle of Dihai, Yi Shaochai, who was obsessed with swords and swords, teamed up with Feng Yu and Mo Rong to fight against the sword sect's Chanri Kunwu. Unexpectedly, everything was a plan of the sword sect. With the help of Yi Shaochai and his famous divine sword forged by Ling Juding, they forced out the injuries they suffered in the battle with the heavenly ghost. The originally evenly matched forms of both sides reversed, and Yi Shaochai and Feng Yu Mo Rong suffered a disastrous defeat under the sword of the sword sect. Yi Shaochai was saved by Sword Zen Seeking Heart. Later, a mysterious scene appeared on the Xianshan mountain. Her soul penetrated before Jushuan, and she possessed the already dead He Shaohong. She met Ling Juding, who came to investigate the cause of her disciple's death. Feng Yu Mo Rong wanted to become a disciple of the sword sect. The sword sect asked him to kill any 3 people he encountered on the way. To prevent Mo Rong, who was determined to seek revenge, Sangru couldn't bear to implicate her baby. The two of them sent their baby to an ordinary family for adoption. Subsequently, he expressed his admiration for Feng Yu Mo Rong, knowing that he could not stop him and could only hope that he would go further. Later, Feng Yu Mo Rong shed tears and killed Sang Ro, returning to report to the sword sect. Looking at the current Feng Yu Mo Rong, feeling his determination, the sword sect decided to teach him swordsmanship, guide him to the sword spring, achieve a painless, numb, and tasteless body, and let him search for the source of the sword spring. Feng Yu Mo Rong searched deep into the cave, and a mysterious person appeared. They had a conversation, and the mysterious person decided to teach him swordsmanship. Affected by the speechless words spoken by the refined fairy, the sword sect decided to enjoy seeking distance after finishing the noodles. Lu Xuanyuan, who obtained the Chongxie sword, relied on the means to solve the evil infection. He had a glorious moment and was elected as the leader of the alliance, becoming a pillar of the righteous path. Although Yin Wangui had some doubts, he suffered from the lack of clues. In the dark of the night, at the Moon Frost Pavilion, a patient who had just been treated for evil infection, the massive sword from beyond struck directly at the Moon Frost Pavilion, causing a sudden change in the color of heaven and earth. Mountains and rivers were all afraid, and Lu Xuanyuan stepped forward, operating the Mingqi and Wudian, Xianhua's Qingyu Tianshou. He helped everyone in the field block the sword pressure, which also caused Lu Xuan to fall 3 feet in the distance. The sword pressure dissipated, and Lu Xuanyuan asked everyone to retreat first. Since you're here, why don't you show up for a while? Then a strange poem horn sounded. Dragons and horses travel thousands of miles with snowflakes, while the wind and moon take 10 steps and the heavenly sword chirps. The autumn frost cuts the jade with a long sun, and the name of the Kunwu sect remains unchanged. Sword sect's Long Day Kuan Wu appeared at the Moon Frost Pavilion, with a cold eye on Lu Xuanyuan. Your Excellency, who are you? What do you mean by coming here? I heard that Lu Xuan has gained thousands of support by relying on the means to dispel evil stains. Long Day Kunwu came to see him. He is a celebrity. So what if I see you? I will not die with just one sword, and you have the qualification to compete for dominance and dominate the martial arts world. Please. Long Day Kunwu's cold energy spread all over his body, and the power of his moves engulfed the 8 wildernesses. The sword's power came from nowhere, and heaven and earth gathered their twin blades, shocking him with a single sword out of thin air. Lu Xuanyuan lost his hand without any movement, remained calm, and in times of crisis, knowing black and guarding white, the mysterious sword is nameless. Guided by the immortal traces of the sword child, the first new sword spirit emerged from the transformation of the green clouds, and the chaotic clouds and mist blocked the sword of the sword sect. Unexpectedly, the frost blade could absorb the opponent's moves to strengthen itself. Your sword is too shallow. Seeing that Hu Qingyun couldn't resist, he wielded his inexplicable single sword and stepped forward to help, but in vain. Lu Xuanyuan carefully observed the moves of the sword sect and saw that Shen had no reason to take action. Due to concerns about his injury, he had no choice but to use it to the extreme. Xianhua, Qi transforms into heaven and earth. With both hands fully absorbing the vitality of heaven and earth, Qi fills the sky, flipping the heavens and earth, and the joy of seeking distance is like a shocking spirit. With the sight of both palms, the crisis is instantly resolved. Do we still have to fight? A sword is a sword. I hope you can let go of your hypocritical pursuit and fight with all your might. Just for protection, it's just in vain. Different ways, not conspiring with each other, no need to say more. The righteous words of Lu Xuanyuan are spoken, but the heart is thinking, what do you know about my pursuit? Sometimes, even I don't know what I'm pursuing. Being hypocritical for too long, I can't take off my mask. At first, it was just for survival, but now what do I do for? I constantly question myself in my heart, but on the surface, I feel calm and indifferent. The person next to you, refute with all your might. Lord Lu is wholeheartedly dedicated to the world. What's wrong? If Lord Lu is in trouble, I believe everyone in the world will help. Sword sect couldn't help but sneer. People from all over the world. People from all over the world. 3 out of 10 people tend to follow the trend. Greed for life fears 3 out of 10 of the dead. There are 3 out of 10 people who do not distinguish right from wrong. This makes me appear to be some vulgar people right now. How different are you? After finishing speaking, Sword Sect turned around and left, leaving only a devastated scene in the crowd of Lu Xuanyuan. Profound and inexplicable is really amazing. It has influenced Saint Si, Lu Xuanyuan, Yi Piaoling, and others. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Rebellion of the Middle Yin Realm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The rebellion of the Middle Ean realm and the realm of the underworld, Jimeng was burning with anger. The body of the Shenxianyo emperor was robbed in front of him. As the originator, the Nine Heavens demon lord, the soul of the demon, Jimeng felt unable to swallow this evil breath, immediately command the entire army of black demons to spread outwards from the underworld, and make sure to catch those two unfamiliar warriors. On the desperate Great Wall, in response to the upcoming black demon army, Yu Zongfeng and others are guarding tightly, but he saw with his own eyes that the numerous black demon army, like a tide, had retreated and slowly disappeared from everyone's sight. He suddenly felt a bit confused. Therefore, Yu Zongfeng quickly sent someone to invite Yuan Wuxiang, hoping that he could help investigate what had happened to the black demon army. Yuan Wuxiang nodded and then headed towards the direction of the black demon army's retreat to explore the truth. At this moment, Fake Sword Cloth was walking towards the Burial Soul Valley with an unconscious Bath Snow, unaware of the figure closely following behind and not receiving any news of what had happened in the underworld. Who was following behind, was waiting for news from the underworld when his eyebrows suddenly tightened. He received the memory of his incarnation, knew that the plan had been successful, and hid the body of the Emperor of Heaven in a mountain cave. After looking at the fake swords and cloth clothes moving forward, understood that the time had come. The sword energy is majestic all around, and the sword intent is shocking in all directions. Yi's head shows the 12 Xianin swords, and the sword finger is lightly tapped. The first sword of Xianin, the only way for heaven and earth is my way. Sword light rushed towards fake sword cloth. Fake sword cloth was unprepared for a sudden attack, unable to dodge in time, and its soul returned to the Nine Heavens on the spot. He walked up to him and picked up the still unconscious Bathing Snow, walking towards the cave where he was hiding. Entering the cave, he set aside the Bath Snow and lit a bonfire, which illuminated the entire cave. He watched the burning bonfire quietly, with a hint of concentration, paying attention to the movement outside the cave. Who completed the task, had 3 martial arts lottery cards and 2 weapon lottery cards in his backpack. He felt that he had gained a lot and immediately used them. A flash of light flashed by, and the 5 lottery cards disappeared without a trace. The system is currently in a lottery. Congratulations on winning Top 10 Martial Arts, Fengyun, Xuanwu True Skill, Fengyun, and Transformation Technique, Kujing Edition. Weapons are being extracted. Congratulations on obtaining the weapon, Heavenly Dao Battle Box, Shenanki, Divine Weapon Junior General. Receive system rewards as usual, where martial arts are directly integrated without any hint of dullness. The Heavenly Dao War Box is placed horizontally on the knee, with a turquoise green dog next to it. At this point, Yi's panel properties change to Name. Song Yang, Title. Housheng Realm. Congenital Peak, Early, Martial Arts. 9 Heavens Shooting and Sun Determination. Arrow fixes the world, 1 arrow sets in the 9 provinces swinging. Arrow washes away demons and brings peace. Twin arrows transform dragons and tigers. 3 arrows of the sun, moon, and star prove the heavenly heart. 12 swords of Xianin, technique of multiple shadows and separation. Hardship version, Top 10 Martial Arts, Xuanwu True Skill, Transformation Technique. Hardship version, Equipment. Jingxin Bao, Cold Iron Arrow, Jiankuan Bao, Jintian Arrow, Tiandao Battle Box, Shenong Ruler Item. None points. 10,000, the mall has been opened. Looking at his over 10,000 points, he happily opened the shopping mall, claiming that it covered everything, but there wasn't much he could afford. He picked and chose, and discovered a product called Martial Arts Enlightenment. Because of the techniques he drew, he chose the Invincible Martial Arts Enlightenment in Fengyun. With just over 10,000 points, he said he didn't have it and it was gone. Wu Wudi's insights into martial arts were ingrained in his mind, rapidly improving Yi's martial arts cultivation. In the blink of an eye, he had reached the mid-stage of his innate peak. With the improvement of his cultivation, he had even more confidence in his next plan. At this point, the system sounds, discovering the body transformed by the spiritual light of heaven and earth. it is recommended that the host absorb it into the body, change their own qualifications, enhance their roots and bones, and enhance the compatibility of the world. Absorb it into the body, how do you do it? I don't have the same strong taste as Immortal. Also, what does fit of the world mean? The system did not speak, and only saw a colorful light shining on the body of the Yen Tianyao Emperor at the center of Yi's eyebrows. In an instant, the body disappeared and disappeared. Instead, what appeared in front of Yi was the three lights made of the essence of the sun. The three lights appeared in the cave, and the originally deserted land suddenly showed vitality. With just a slight approach, Yi instinctively felt that many of the dark wounds in his body had been repaired by the three lights. Then the three lights entered the body, and the foundation, which was originally somewhat ethereal, suddenly became incredibly thick. All the dark injuries in the body were also restored, and the world became more transparent in Yi's eyes. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth could be easily driven. Due to the disappearance of the body of Emperor Shen Tianyao, Yi pondered for a moment and performed the miraculous technique of external incarnation. With the active spiritual energy of heaven and earth, Yi became much more relaxed. At the scene, four identical figures appeared, two in the mid-congenital period, one in the early congenital period, and the last in the early peak period. Incorporate the divine beast transformed by the Shenong ruler into the space provided by the system, and then use it by three people present. The magic and transformation techniques allow the true element to operate within the body, changing its bones and appearance. Yi, who was born in the early days, slowly transformed into the appearance of Emperor Shen Tianyao. Because he absorbed the three radiances transformed by Shen Tian, Yi was not worried about revealing his true essence. Later, he secretly hid the Jintian arrow on his body. In the middle of the two innate stages, one transformed into a sword-cloth garment to replace the transformed type that had already been killed by oneself, while the other maintained Yi's original appearance unchanged, and the last one, at the beginning of the innate peak, in the blink of an eye, was dressed in a black gilded robe, with white hair draped over his shoulders, carrying a heavenly Dao battle box on his back, with a dignified and upright appearance, resembling a middle-aged person. Then, a new vest was born, and Housheng Yifu sighed. After thinking about my plan, I looked at the time and estimated that Yifu was about to wake up. The three of them walked up to Yifu and waited. In no time, Yifu opened her eyes and felt a few unfamiliar gazes. She immediately stood up, put on a defensive posture, and looked at everyone present with a slightly wary expression. Who are you and how could I be here? The three of us just coincidentally gathered together. My name is Jianbai, from the Great Wall of the Endless Realm, which is the real body imitated by the transformation class that took you away. The other is the representative of the Martial Arts Alliance, Housheng Yi. He came this time to investigate the changes in the Middle Yin realm, and it was he who saved you. As for the other one, I'm not quite sure. Upon hearing the explanation from Jianbai, Yifu did not let down her guard and frowned, thinking to herself. Looking at the somewhat skeptical invitation, Yifu sighed and walked forward, pointing slightly at Yushua's forehead. Qi surged out with her fingers. Faced with the sudden attack, Yushu didn't feel any killing intent, just widened her eyes. Subsequently, the energy penetrated through the body and the stone wall behind Yushu collapsed without causing any damage. Let go of your so-called vigilance. Everyone present can easily take your life, and you have nothing to plot against. The reason why we have to waste too much time with you is just because we need your help for something. On the other side, deep in the underworld, the mysterious originator received news and became furious on the spot. A huge aura enveloped the underworld, causing the entire underworld to vibrate. The wrongdoer on the side dared not speak and trembled. After a while, 3 days, I will only give Jimeng 3 days to retrieve the body of the Zhu Tianyao Emperor. Otherwise, there is no need for me to say more. What will the consequences be? End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Design. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Design. As the successor of Taisu Qi, Yushu felt that the few people had no ill intentions. Is there anything I can help with? I want you to accompany me on a trip to the Burial Soul Valley. I will pretend to be a metamorphosis type, and you will continue to be a captive. And when your friend receives the message, they will definitely come to rescue, and we can discover the enemy's hidden methods and execute them. I wonder if you agree." After thinking for a moment, Yushue nodded. Then, Jianbai took Yushue to the Burial Soul Valley. The remaining few people looked at each other, and Yi took the body of Emperor Shenxianyo to the Great Wall, deliberately exposing his whereabouts. He lured Jimeng to come and ask him to snatch back his body. Housheng Yifu is in the dark, observing the situation, waiting for the opportunity to move, and cutting off the enemy's wings. In the Xilian Temple, Empress Ba, the Empress of the Empress, swept the whole Buddhist Pure Land like a storm, and tried to stop Empress Ba from continuing to be evil by going to the Holy Buddha and the Buddhist ultimatum. However, the Empress Dowager's afterlife was unfathomable, with the ultimate confrontation between the supreme evil power and the vast Buddhist power, resulting in a stalemate between the two. The Holy Buddha used the power of the Buddha's ultimatum to resist together, but the sweat on his forehead had already shown the powerlessness of both. On the other hand, Empress Dowager Ho Ba remained calm and did not exert all her strength. In the secluded area of Xilian Temple, the Wind Monk Bai Yun Sword, whose eyes were originally tightly closed, suddenly felt a wave of restlessness. It seems like something is about to happen. At this moment, the monk who was supposed to escape hurriedly ran towards Foam Monk Bai Yun Sword. Foam Monk, things are not going well. Empress Dowager Guiyu, Ho Ba, personally visited Xilian Temple. Her hair protector, Xianshan, has been defeated and heroically sacrificed. The Buddha is in danger, go and save him quickly. Upon hearing that his master had sacrificed himself, Foam Monk's figure paused, but upon hearing that the Buddha was in danger, he didn't rush or mourn, and rushed towards the hall where the Buddha's edict was placed. At this moment, the pilgrimage to the Holy Buddha had reached its limit, and blood flowed from the corners of her mouth. Empress Ho Ba sneered contemptuously, "It's over." Subsequently, the heavenly ghost ridge appeared, and the Empress's evil power was strong, causing turmoil in heaven and earth. The surrounding magic formations were broken in response to the sound. The formation was broken and injured by the remnants of evil power. A large mouthful of blood spat out to the ground, and the Holy Buddha endured the heavy blow, preventing himself from falling. At the moment of extreme crisis, a sharp sword aura swept through and forcefully interrupted the Empress's move. Walk like the wind, stand like pine, sit like a bell, lie like a bough. The Wind Monk Bai Yun Sword slowly stepped into the main hall and a pair of Empress Dowagers appeared. The Empress immediately became interested. What is the name of a master? Bai Yun cannot do it, your injury is not healed, don't force it. Speaking with concern to the Holy Buddha, don't worry, facing the two masters' spirits in heaven, I can't lose face. Which, you must pay the price for your sins. Foam Monk's face was relaxed, but his heart was very solemn. The Empress smiled slightly, holding back her power and holding her hand. Well, I can't help but beg for it. Strong and strong. The Wind Monk Bai Yun Sword, who has been injured again, is a pair of unfathomable Empress Ho Ba. Behind the Wind Monk, the white clouds bear witness to the heart, and the sword shines like rain. The Empress's evil power is infinite, and the two intersect to the extreme. After several rounds of confrontation, facing an unprecedented strong enemy, Feng Sang's pressure suddenly increased, and then he vigorously raised his true energy, making a great move to get started. Shi Jian Qi, Supreme Dharma, Empress Ho Ba holds the heavenly ghost ridge in her hand, and her evil power permeates the four fields. Iba, world drought, the ultimate move collided, causing the earth to overturn and 100 li radius to be shaken. As a result, Wind Monk Bai Yun Sword suffered a devastating defeat, with additional damage. On the other hand, Empress Ho Ba relied on her extremely strong martial arts body to forge ghosts without missing clothes and was unharmed. Worried about Foam Monk's pilgrimage to the Holy Buddha, the Buddha Yuan angrily lifted his hand and revealed the Buddha seal. Facing the Empress Ho Ba directly, Empress Dowager Ho Ba waved her hand casually, shattering the Buddha's seal and falling unconscious on the spot towards the Holy Buddha. At this critical moment, the Buddha's ultimatum flying from afar in the main hall pushed back the Empress with immense Buddhist power. Feng monk, who had the opportunity to catch his breath, quickly picked up the unconscious pilgrim Buddha and fled the scene. The Empress looked at the Buddhist edict and sneered, "What a life-saving divine weapon, truly with compassion in mind." The Empress wielded the heavenly ghost ridge in her hand, and her evil power struck directly at the Buddha's ultimatum. She was already in the midst of a lingering candle in the wind, but in order to save Feng monk and others, she exhausted the last trace of Buddha's power in her sword. Faced with the beheading of the Empress Dowager, the Buddha's ultimatum could not be stopped and instantly broke in half. The Empress picked up the broken Buddha's ultimatum and laughed up from the sky, "It doesn't seem like you are the artifact that terminated my criminal karma." Then he threw the broken sword into the Giji River, the world of hope for extinction. According to the Buddha sword, Lord 12 hates, Lord worships heaven, and the four of Tianzi moved towards the atonement tower. The four of them who had just set off encountered the enemy's obstruction, and the bloodthirsty Ice Lord Timo led the *** Young Master and the Hell Humanoid Master to descend with force. Ice Lord Timo said to the Buddha sword, "Are you determined to die? Traveling against the sky is the path of Buddha's sword." Lord Feng Tian, Sword Lord 12 hates oppose ** Young Master, Hell Humanoid Master, the enemy's path is narrow, this time you have nowhere to escape. Humph, you two have repeatedly killed bloodthirsty people, it's an unforgivable crime, take your lives. Jun Feng Tian possesses the aura of a divine emperor, with the proper technique from behind being unsheathed. He uses the supreme secret technique of the Immortal sect, the secret formula of heaven, and the heavenly Gang Jade decree. With just one move, the attacking young master was solved, and then he pinched the Immortal decision and the holy scar of heaven, completely cutting off the opportunity for young master's resurrection. The hellish humanoid master on the side was infuriated by the situation and attacked Jun Feng Tian. However, Sword Lord 12 hatred could not allow him to succeed, and the sword rack he was carrying slowly landed behind him. Sword Lord 12's heart moved with hatred, and the lower-level sword moved accordingly. A sharp sword light flashed by, and a sound, sword and martial arts, the hellish humanoid master's head fell to the ground on the spot, and then the sword lord used the Wuchi sword seal to seal it. On the other side, Ice-Ju Timo took the lead in attacking, and the Buddha's sword infused the Buddha's seal on the ground to resist the attack. Ice-Ju Timo approached, and the Buddha's sword surrounded the Buddha's words, eagerly awaiting their arrival. The two sides fought for several rounds, and Ice Lord Timo had a plan in his heart. He knew the answer he wanted to know, and then withdrew. A big battle was hastily concluded, and everyone took a break before continuing towards the direction of the Redemption Tower. Within the realm of the Middle Eon, a large army of black demons scattered in search of those who had stolen the body of the celestial Yao Emperor. However, tired Harvest Tian and Xiaoqi hurriedly rushed to the desperate Great Wall after receiving news from Yu Zongfeng and others. Halfway through, Moon Zongfeng and Lu Dudiank secretly guided him into a trap, but tirelessly. Xiaotian had already recognized their true colors and was just playing tricks. "All right, stop here and stop acting. Both of you. When did you discover it?" "From the very beginning, I realized that as the Lord of the Moon City, it is impossible to abandon friends and ignore them. He would choose to fight to the end, and according to my estimation, Yuan Wuxiang should not be in the city at this moment. And most importantly, I have not seen any sincerity that belongs to humanity in your eyes. The two people who were exposed, in the blink of an eye, were full of murderous intent, both attacking towards the tired sky, tired and collected, with a steady posture and a calm response. The floating dust in his hands floats lightly, and his moves flow like clouds in water. He is using the Northern Sect's technique to control the boundaries, Daozhua Jia Trace. In an instant, the two people who crossed the boundary had no time to react. The boundary mark was activated, and wherever the sword light went, there was no evil left, and they died on the spot. Xiao Qi, who was watching from the side, was greatly shocked and quickly stepped forward. "Your swordsmanship is really good. I haven't asked for your name yet." "Nameless Sword." "Tired Harvest of Heaven, you're the craziest name I've ever heard." At this moment, the sword behind Xiaoqi began to vibrate inexplicably. My sword felt the aura of his kind. Subsequently, the two of them followed the sword's guidance and saw the long-lost white horse Qiushui. During the conversation between Xiaoqi and Qiushui, Xianshan received news that their friend Yuxue had been captured by the Metamorphosis class and imprisoned in the Burial Soul Valley. Xiaoqi was worried about the safety of bathing snow and asked about the location of the Burial Soul Valley. After that, he hurried away, followed closely by Autumn Water. Due to other important matters, he had to rely on the mysterious swordsman who had just talked to Autumn Water to protect their safety. The deepest impression I have of Tired Harvest Heaven is, since I accept heaven, who dares to accept me? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Coffin Battle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Coffin Battle. According to the plan, he slowly walked towards the desperate Great Wall with the body of the Shenqianyo Emperor. In order to avoid suspicion, he also carefully hid his traces to prevent others from discovering. In the depths of the underworld, evil invites the Phantom Meteor to enter the Middle Ean realm in advance. The Phantom Meteor has doubts in his heart. Why is it so hasty when there is still some time left to meet the agreed deadline? Well, because the plan is progressing very smoothly. The Great Wall in dire straits has been captured. Upon hearing the news, the Phantom Meteor's face remained calm, but his heart stirred up a huge wave. On the other side, the wandering army of black demons finally discovered clues and quickly reported to Ji Meng. Ji Meng sneered upon receiving the news. All right. I've finally found you. Coincidentally, when I get my body, I'll also break through the desperate Great Wall and clear the final obstacles of the plan. Subsequently, Ji Meng recalled the scattered army and moved towards the direction of the Great Wall, blocking the retreat of the thief's body and surrounding him on the road. Within the desperate Great Wall, Moon Zhongfeng received a report from a scout that a person was on their way to the Great Wall with a coffin, and the movement trajectory of the Black Demon Army was slowly approaching that person. At this moment, an inexplicable letter suddenly appeared in the air. Yu Zhongfeng picked up the letter, carefully read it, and then thought for a moment before making a decision. Liudu Tianke, sword and cloth clothing, come with me to meet the person who transports the coffin. The others will stay guard on the Great Wall. At the same time, Yuan Wuxiang and Xianshan received letters from mysterious people, in which they explained in detail the importance of the people in the coffin and also pointed out that at this moment, the people in the coffin had been snatched from the hands of the transformation class. The snatcher is on their way to the desperate Great Wall, hoping for their support. After reading the contents of the letter, the two people hurriedly went to support. In the dark of the night, he walked alone on the wilderness with his coffin, surrounded by silence. Why haven't you come yet? Jimeng and they are also too slow. As the conversation fell, the scene was shrouded in a strange and evil atmosphere, filled with killing intent. In the blink of an eye, Yi was surrounded by the transformation type. Yi, who was deeply besieged, did not see any nervousness. He restrained his momentum and held his hands. With a confident posture, the metamorphosis class hesitates, fearing traps, and stops moving forward, resulting in a prolonged stalemate between the two sides. On the distant peak, Ji Meng secretly observed and controlled the overall situation, suspecting that it was a bluff, and then ordered the metamorphosis class to launch an attack. The transformation class that received the command suddenly attacked, and upon seeing the situation, Yi, who could no longer delay time, could only fully improve his elemental skills. A few nearby transformation classes in his palm flipped and died. Other metamorphosis creatures showed no fear, but were even more ferocious. He relied on his own body techniques to shuttle back and forth among the metamorphosis creatures, with a bow in his hand that turned into a true element and an arrow that hit every approaching demon. But the transformation type of killing is endless, and without inspection for a moment, there are already several scars on the body, and the evil energy at the scars is rampant, not good, toxic. Evil energy entered his body, and he suddenly felt powerless. He endured the discomfort and poured his true energy into his bow. Using extreme moves, arrow washes away demons and brings peace and prosperity. Countless sharp arrows appeared out of thin air, falling like rain one after another, and the metamorphosis type suffered heavy casualties on the spot. Yi, who had completed his ultimate move, suddenly experienced an outbreak of evil energy in his body, causing his true energy to dissipate. With a precise timing and a palm in the air, Yi was severely injured on the spot, spitting blood from his mouth, and was at the end of his powerful crossbow. The metamorphosis class approached step by step, watching death approaching, but he looked into the distance. At this moment, Ji Meng also noticed the distant figures of Yu Zhongfeng and others, and immediately disappeared. Just right, you can catch it all in one go. The Yu Zhongfeng and others who arrived here saw Yi, who was surrounded by metamorphosis and severely injured, and had no time to think about it. They all waved their heads and started using it, clearing a passage. A few people came to Yi's side, and their swords and cloth clothes helped up the injured Yi. Sorry we're late, don't let them steal the people inside the coffin. Seeing the person coming, Yi, who had let go of his mind, instructed him and fainted to death. Upon seeing the situation, Yu Zhongfeng and others fought and retreated with Yi and his coffin, retreating towards the direction of the Great Wall in dire straits, the plan to kill everyone in one fell swoop. Seeing that everyone's true energy was severely depleted, the ultimate move was just emerging: demon martial arts. Residual God abandoned Xianhuang. The shocking and earth-shattering move broke through the air, enveloping everyone with a massive demonic power. Everyone used their skills to resist, but like praying mantis, they were injured and vomited blood. The mastermind behind the chaos in the Middle Ean realm came with a strong force, defeating everyone present with one move, revealing an unquestionable arrogance: I want the people in the coffin today, and I also want your lives. Faced with unfathomable plans and numerous transformations like tides, tired of the day, I arrived in time from my hometown. The Daojian Supreme Sword formation cleverly seized the infinite transformation and suddenly opened up, protecting everyone present. The transformation class who couldn't dodge around died on the spot. Upon seeing the situation, Ji Meng's ultimate move came from the second attempt. The two teams faced off, and the sky tilted and the earth cracked. After the ultimate move, Ji Meng was seriously injured, and Daojian Shuangxiu also suffered varying degrees of internal injuries. Watching the enemy's reinforcements continue to flow, Daojian Shuangxiu didn't have time to take away the coffin, so he had to withdraw with everyone. The transformation class chased after him until they reached the bottom of the desperate Great Wall before retreating. In the realm of the underworld, Ji Meng was thinking of the people who were trying to escape. His injured body suddenly had a surge of blood, and a mouthful of blood sprayed onto the ground. In the blink of an eye, he looked at the body of the snatched Emperor Shenxianyo and examined it. He found no problem, and Ji Meng's heart calmed down, and at this moment, lying in the coffin, he transformed into the clone of the Shenxianyo Emperor. Looking at Ji Meng, who was seriously injured, he wanted to take action, but suddenly thought that the fairy tale was unknown, so he took back the shocking arrow in his hand. I don't know that Ji Meng, who almost lost his life, is still planning to become possessed and have his true body descend. Inside the desperate Great Wall, everyone was adjusting their breath. At this moment, Ji Tianya notified everyone: the warrior you rescued has already woken up. Everyone immediately finished adjusting their breath and arrived one after another beside Yi. He opened his eyes and looked at the weak crowd, asking, how is the person inside the coffin doing? Upon seeing Yi's inquiry, everyone looked at each other with a guilty expression on Yu Zhongfeng's face. Sorry, we didn't prepare enough and were snatched by the metamorphosis class again. We will go back. That's really... Cough cough cough, that's really a pity. In this operation, we have already lost several righteous pillars. Sigh. I didn't expect it to still fail, and everyone blamed me. I should have been more careful, but I didn't expect it to be discovered. As he spoke, Yi's tears couldn't help but flow from the corner of his eye. Yu Zhongfeng, who had originally wanted to say something, looked at Yi, who was in grief, and could only pat his shoulder as a sign of comfort. Seeing Yi's mood slowly calming down, tired and collected before the sky, I haven't consulted your esteemed name yet. At the invitation of Yi Qixing, Yi, a member of the Xiahou tribe, established the Martial Arts Alliance and was appointed as the representative of the Bao. I wonder if your excellency knows what exactly is inside the coffin and what its purpose is. He pondered for a moment. Inside the coffin is the body of the near god, the body of the former guardian god of the Eastern Emperor Xianzhou, Emperor Shenxianyo. He can help humans break through the boundaries of heaven and earth and reach the near god. Moreover, the fall of Emperor Shen Yao is also closely related to the mastermind of the Middle Yin rebellion. The news of Yi shocked everyone present. Then, looking at Yi, who was somewhat tired, everyone retreated one after another and instructed him to cultivate himself well. On the way, Yu Zongfeng asked everyone about their views on Yi. Judging from his posture, he doesn't look like a villain, but he has some reservations when speaking, which is roughly the same as what he belongs to in the letter. I don't know if they are in the same group, but his acting skills are a bit exaggerated in the end. Yuan Wuxiang commented, attracting everyone to nod in agreement. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Burial Soul Valley. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Burial Soul Valley. In the underworld, a place shrouded in blood clouds, in the Burial Soul Valley, Xiaoqi arrived alone to save Yuxue. Seeing Xiaoqi come to rescue her, Yuxue was very moved. Faced with the obstruction of the ghost soul, Xiaoqi was not afraid at all. Facing Xiaoqi, who was like a child, the ghost soul was not afraid to be careless. He waved the magic sickle in his hand and pounded it heavily on the ground. The huge demon god was summoned from the ground by the ghost soul. The demon god, Mo Haitian, has immense power. Each move has the ability to destroy the sky and the earth. The dual palm demon can strike it and head straight towards Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi dodged around, and his magic power did not harm him at all. Seeing this, the ghost soul, who was not a ghost, said a somewhat depressed sentence, "Come again." I saw the demon dark sky, with even greater power, wielding a series of palms, wave after wave. Xiaoqi tossed and frolicked, his figure floating and uncertain. His body moved with the heart, and his breath moved with the will. The energy mixed with sword intent met the magic energy, causing Xiaoqi to fall to the ground on the spot, but for the sake of bathing in the snow, Xiaoqi gritted his teeth and persevered, barely standing up, but unaware of the battle between the two. The figure on the distant peak caught a glimpse of the sword cloth clothing disguised by the clone Yi. At this moment, the distant autumn water had already arrived, and he pulled out the prison soul sword to help Xiaoqi with his strength. After seeing that the person coming was Qiushui, Xiaoqi let go of his guard and focused all his energy on the strong enemy. He did not see Qiushui's sneer behind him. The long sword, which was originally meant to kill demons, was now stabbing towards Xiaoqi's vital area. Just as the autumn water was about to succeed, a sword came from the west, and suddenly a stunning sword appeared from outside, approaching the autumn water. The autumn water drew a sword to resist, but the sword broke and a person died, revealing a transformed body. It turned out that the autumn water was actually disguised as a transformed body. At this moment, a poem horn sounded. Activate the sword machine, search for sword principles, be wise in every way, dream of sword cloth clothes. Sword cloth cloth cloth, holding blue blood in hand, the long wind flutters down. The sudden change caused Xiaoqi to freeze on the spot. After a while, he finally realized and said to Jianbaiai, "Thank you very much, my friend. These mutants are really despicable. They even pretend to be my good friends to plot against me. It's really despicable. You don't need to thank me. Eliminating the strong and supporting the weak, punishing evil and promoting good are the fundamental principles of chivalry. Besides, everyone should be punished for such evil things. The one who was tied up is your friend, let me give you a hand." After speaking, Jianbaiai raised his sword and approached. A pair of ghost souls were not ghosts. While Xiaoqi and Mohitian continued to confront each other, in the blink of an eye, sword cloth cloth had already arrived in front of the soul of the underworld, and the blue blood long wind in his hand swung fiercely, taking the enemy's head directly. The dark soul is not a ghost and calmly responds. With the magic sickle in his hand, he easily blocks a blow from the sword cloth clothing. On the other hand, Xiaoqi's pressure on the demon black sky, who has lost control of the dark soul, suddenly decreases significantly. During the battle, Jian Bai took advantage of the interweaving with the non-ghost weapons of the Dark Soul and transmitted a message to the non-ghost weapons of the Dark Soul, saying, Lord Jimeng has a new plan for me to join them. In order to gain their trust, I need to rescue the kidnapped person. In a moment, I will pretend to seriously harm you. You can immediately retreat. Upon hearing the transmission, the ghost soul was not a ghost and had doubts in its heart, how to prove what you said is true. Well, it's delaying Lord Jimeng's plan. We both have to die, and I sent this person to the burial soul valley. The ghost soul pondered for a moment before nodding. The two of them met in 4 eyes and then clashed again. The ghost soul pretended to be invincible, and blood flowed out of their mouths. Upon seeing this, Jian Bai gestured with his eyes, and Jin Yuan suddenly lifted his hand. The sky and earth were darkened in an instant, and the majestic sword intent swept out. The sword was only released in the blink of an eye. Xianin 12 swords, second sword. Heavenly thunder guide me sword, the dazzling sky thunder, slaying demons and eliminating demons, directly striking the soul of the underworld and non-ghosts. The soul of the underworld was not detected by ghosts for a moment, and was severely injured on the spot. The power of thunder roamed around, destroying everything. The pain of the soul of the underworld is unbearable. When wielding the sword cloth, a sharp silver light flashed past. The soul of the underworld has already landed on the ground, returning to the 9 springs. Before dying, there was only one sentence floating in the space, you lied to me. Jian Bai's long sword was sheathed in his hand, and he stood with his hand down. I'm sorry, your death was also part of the plan. If you want to blame me, then blame Jimeng. Because the death of the ghost soul was not a ghost, the demon Black Sky disappeared from the battle with Xiaoqi. Seeing his opponent disappear, Xiaoqi sat directly on the ground, panting heavily, while Jian Bai had already arrived with Yushue. I haven't consulted your name yet. Thank you very much for saving the shower snow. My name is Jian Bai and I come from the Great Wall in dire straits. This time, I am exploring the trend of transformation. Saving bathing snow was just a stroke of luck. At the moment of speaking, Jian Bai suddenly felt a strange gaze staring at the scene, afraid of startling the snake. Jian Bai's expression remained unchanged, and Qiushui, who was chasing Xiaoqi, also arrived at the burial soul valley. Seeing that the two of them were fine, his eyebrows lit up with joy. Yushue, Xiaoqi, it's really great if you're all free. Watching the 3 of them reunite again, Jian Bai didn't disturb them and secretly thought about the next plan. Due to his own actions, Xiaoqi did not get injured and returned to Yixing. Yushue also did not know that the person he most admired was Xiaoqi. Should he be clear about it, if Xiaoqi is not injured, then Juyan, one of the 9 ferocious teeth of the evil crocodile and a subordinate of the Southern Yu Prince, will not take action. The sword cloth robe, which was thinking, looked at itself with 3 curious eyes. What's wrong? What strange mom do I have? No, my friend. I heard that Yushue was saved by you just as she descended from the Middle Yin realm. In order to plan, Yushue cooperated with you to pretend to be caught, which really made me worry for nothing. Also, as you frown, do you have any difficulties? Speak up and listen, maybe our little 7 cultivators can help you. Xiaoqi patted his chest and said confidently, nodding his head in the autumn water and bath snow beside him. Upon hearing these words, Jian Bai couldn't help but burst into laughter, praising the profound righteousness and bravery of Yushue. Then, with his index finger lightly tapping Yushue's forehead, before Yushue understood what was going on, a strange set of sword techniques suddenly appeared in his head. Originally, Jian Bai treated the first 6 swords of his Xianin 12 swords technique as a thank you gift for bathing snow's help. Upon receiving such a heavy gift, Yushue wanted to push it away, but Jian Bai remained resolute and could only give up. She swore that she would never use this sword technique to commit any wrongdoing. Jian Bai nodded after hearing this and then left. Looking at the departing figure, Xiaoqi couldn't help but sigh, this is really a generous friend. The sword cloth clothes that left are now heading towards the underworld, the stronghold of Ji Meng. His goal is to replace Ji Meng. Halfway through, the murderous aura enveloped the sword in cloth clothing, surrounded by a scorching stream of fire, and mournful and cold sparks kept flying. A red-haired and red-clothed person, silent and holding the seal of 95, stood in the midst of the beacon fire, feeling a severe sense of oppression and coercion from the sword cloth clothing. "Friend, what can I do for you?" Seeing the other person not answering, "My friend, I'm in a hurry. You're inexplicably blocking the way, I can't justify it." It seemed that he couldn't bear the verbosity of Jianbai. Julian, with his red hair and red clothes, raised his eyebrows and spoke in a cold tone, "Remember that the person who killed you is called Julian." After finishing speaking, the 9-5 seals in his hand had arrived in front of Sword Cloth E. Sword Cloth E calmly responded, evading and widening the distance between the two. "We don't have such a big grudge between us, are you coming up to take my life?" The Jian move that automatically blocks the words of sword cloth clothes is even more ruthless, with each sword pointing directly at the key point. After several rounds of fighting, Zhu Yan saw that he had not injured his sword and cloth clothes at all. He immediately waved his hand and raised the 9-5 seal high above his head, infusing his true element into his body. A crimson sword light appeared and grew larger and larger. When it reached its limit, it suddenly struck, and wherever it reached, the earth split apart. Faced with the ultimate move of sword and cloth clothing, I dare not be careless. In my hand, the blue blood and long wind fought hard to resist. After a loud bang, Jianbai released his long sword from his hand, spat out blood from his mouth, and knelt on one knee, unable to resist. Watching the assassin Jian pressing step by step, Jianbai kept muttering to himself, "Why haven't you taken action yet? I like to see myself beaten up so much." Speaking of which, the hardships are also really miserable. Everyone has the ability to destroy the heavens and the earth. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Wulin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Wulin. Death is approaching, and the heavily injured sword cloth clothing shows no signs of panic. Julian raised his sword and stepped forward, in a moment of life and death. With a strike from outside, Julian was forced to retreat. "I thought you were going to see when." The newcomer remained silent, facing Julian's indifferent expression and issuing a judgment of death. "One move gives you defeat." Upon hearing an astonishing statement, facing the mysterious warrior who suddenly appeared, Zhu Yan showed no trace of anger, but his killing aura was even stronger. Looking at the murderous Zhu Yan, the mysterious warrior flipped his palm and pushed forward, his astonishing aura sweeping the entire room, and his huge palm print pressing straight towards Zhu Yan. Locked in, Zhu Yan knows deeply that he cannot escape a disaster. He gathers his true energy and intends to make the final resistance, but he overestimated himself and underestimated the enemy. After a fierce collision, Zhu Yan's muscles and veins were completely broken, and blood sprayed all over the fields. Before his death, Zhu Yan forcefully threw the 9-5 seal in his hand towards Jianbu Yi, intending to take away Jianbu Yi with his last breath. The long sword flew at lightning speed and finally fell to a distance of less than 1 foot from the sword cloth clothing. Seeing that it was not successful, Zhu Yan could only die with regret. In the southern region, we have been lurking, waiting for the appearance of the Jade Buddha to once again embark on the great cause of the criminal's island. Suddenly, we feel a surge of blood and energy, and deep inside, there seems to be an important person leaving. Watching Zhu Yan fall to the ground and die, Jianbai patted the soil on his body. "Oh my, why are you taking action so slowly? If it's any later, I'll have to return to my original form." The mysterious warrior remained silent, then disappeared without a trace. As he watched himself leave, Jianbai pursed his lips. How could you distinguish such a unique clone? Continuing towards the Yuan Valley, at this moment, Jimeng has just received news that the evil and phantom meteor will come from the infinite meridian to the Middle Yin realm. Sword Phoenix, controlled by evil, will also come from other places to assist in this coffin protection operation. Ji Meng, who was pondering whether there were any flaws in the plan, saw that Jianbai, who was stumbling and seriously injured, slowly arrived. "You're injured, what happened?" Lord, the ghost soul non-ghost arranged in the burial soul valley was killed by the sudden appearance of Yi Qixing, and I was also injured by a mysterious warrior. But I heard some shocking news. What news? Come and listen. The uninterested Jimeng was no longer interested in the failed sword cloth robe. If it weren't for its usefulness, he would have personally killed him long ago. This news is... You're going to die. As soon as the words fell, the long sword from behind the sword cloth robe emerged from its sheath and directly attacked Ji Meng. Faced with the sense of killing intent, Ji Meng dodged the fatal blow and then slapped his sword cloth clothes with a palm, flying a great distance. Wow, I've always been calculating others' plans. I didn't expect to be calculated today. Tell me who sent you, tell me, I can consider keeping you a whole body. The injured sword cloth clothes, wielding the long sword like a wandering dragon soaring, the sword light everywhere it goes, urging everything, Ji Meng turned his hands behind his back and stepped forward with his right foot, causing the earth to crack. His energy surged towards the sword cloth clothes like a tide, and then he sneered, "Your sword is too shallow." Faced with the attack of Ji Meng, Jian Bai changed his attack. His body movements were like lightning, and he dodged left and right, but everything was in vain. After one move, Jian Bai was defeated. Just then, a strange poem horn sounded, talking and laughing about heroes from ancient and modern times. I am the first to compete in martial arts. Who is the saint among thousands of heroes? Only the solitary peak sighs in all directions. Ten Fong sighed, carrying the heavenly Dao war box, finally appeared and looked at Ji Meng with a cold sigh. Can you prove my martial arts skills? Feeling the unfathomable nature of the incoming person, I calculated in my heart and slowly spoke of Ji Meng, who was already injured. Your Excellency has found the wrong person. The true experts are all at the Great Wall in the desperate situation. If you don't know where it is, I still have a road map here. I don't want to be fooled by the plan to divert trouble from the east. As for what Ji Meng said, Shifang sighed and remained unmoved, and the ultimate move had already been taken. Shan Hai Quan Jing. Quan Qing Tian Di fist moves with intent, causing the whole world to tremble. The domineering intent envelopes the scheme. Jimeng sees no way to avoid and can only use moves to resist. I was planning to let you go. Why do you insist on seeking death? Demon martial arts. Residual God abandoned Xianhuang. The two top powerhouses intersect to the extreme, causing the entire underworld to vibrate with the same sensation, resulting in a landslide and earth-shattering. Both sides took a few steps back, with Jimeng spitting blood from his mouth, while Shifang sighed unharmed. The High Court made a judgment, and Jimeng felt a sense of retreat in his heart. However, the body of the emperors of the heavenly palace was here, and he had to find a way to take it away together. Knowing Jimeng's plan, Shifang sighed and couldn't fulfill his wish. The heavenly Dao war box behind him was opened, and with incredibly agile hands, a long spear quickly appeared in his hand, questioning the sky and executing the gun. Angry questioning of the common people. As soon as the execution was executed, blood rained down from the sky, as if weeping for all the suffering of the common people. Seeing such a scene, Ji Meng knew that this move was extraordinary and didn't dare to be careless. He held the Yang Demon Qin in his hand, and the ghost face bowstring appeared. His demonic power was even stronger, and he used the rhythm to perform the ultimate move, demon martial arts. Residual God abandoned Xianhuang under the extreme move. The power of destroying heaven and earth swept across the entire underworld, causing a change in the terrain of the underworld. As far as the Great Wall of the Endless Realm, Moon Zhangfeng and others also felt intense vibrations. After the extreme conflict, although Ji Meng was seriously injured, he cleverly came to the coffin with the remaining power of his moves, intending to take away the body of the Emperor of Heaven and Earth. But Ji Meng didn't expect that. Taking advantage of the moment when his mind relaxed, lying in the coffin, the body of Emperor Shenxianyo sat up, which startled Jimeng. Despite Jimeng's surprise, Emperor Shenxianyo, who was sitting up, showed up with a shocking arrow hidden in his body. An arrow pierced into Ji Meng's heart, and he felt the strong Xian Yuan aura on the shocking arrow in his chest. Ji Meng couldn't help but say, "How could you have Xian Yuan relics? Who the hell are you?" Emperor Shen Tianyao smiled but did not answer, and the seal in his hand kept changing. In no time, Ji Meng was sealed, leaving only a question: why didn't you kill me? The Chen Tianyao Emperor, transformed by Yi's clone, looked at the sealed Ji Meng with disdainful eyes. Do you think I'm a fool? If I kill you, your soul will be able to return to the beginning of the demon. When that happens, the matter of the Middle Yin realm breaking away from his control will be exposed. I'll leave the plan to you. Sighing at Shifang, Jianbai said, and then lay back in the coffin. When he lay down, he did not forget to remove the shocking arrow inserted in Jimeng's chest, hoping for the next person to be pierced. Shifangtan and Jianbai looked at each other and decided to hand over Jimeng to the desperate Great Wall, where Yu Zongfeng and the others would be in charge. This would save them some trouble. Then Shifang sighed and picked up Jimeng with one hand, slowly disappearing without a trace. He left his sword and cloth clothes alone. I saw Jianbai's body undergo a transformation, and a new scheme appeared in the underworld. As I watched myself constantly changing my identity, I felt a bit self-deprecating. It's still not as effective as being able to attach to others' bodies without being noticed, and being able to control others' means at the moment of association. Standing in the underworld, contemplating the next plan, I cut off the arrangement of the demon in the middle underworld. The next step is to completely uproot the transformation-type curse from the people of the Great Wall in dire straits. Having made the next plan, I suddenly felt bored and wanted to talk to myself lying in the coffin. Seemingly sensing his thoughts, the person inside the coffin quickly closed the lid, and in the moment it was closed, a line of small characters appeared: close the gate, don't disturb. It's also embarrassing to be rejected from the coffin by oneself, helpless, can only enjoy this desolate cold wind and pale moonlight alone. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Star River Waterfall. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Star River Waterfall. The Great Wall shook inexplicably, and Moon Zongfeng and others looked solemnly towards the direction of the underworld, where experts were fighting, while several people were discussing who to investigate. He already knew what had happened and watched as the tremor subsided. He understood that he was about to leave, and the situation in his predicament became even more tense. In order to prevent Mo Shi's plan from succeeding, he had to return to his predicament. He, who had made up his mind, came to the crowd and informed him of his intention to leave. When he heard that he wanted to leave, Yu Zongfeng spoke out to persuade him to stay. Today is a tumultuous autumn, with demons invading and our troops running low. We urgently need high-end combat capabilities like yours. Could you please leave us a helping hand? Otherwise, the Great Wall in dire straits will be broken, and the Middle Yin realm will be in danger. The people of the entire world will be in dire straits. I believe you are not someone who stands idly by. At this moment, Yu Zongfeng felt that Yi was somewhat suspicious in his heart. If he was allowed to leave, and if the internal situation of the desperate Great Wall was revealed, the enemy might take advantage of it. It was better to stay by his side. Firstly, to retain a high-end combat force, and secondly, to be aware of any of his actions in front of him, but he remained expressionless and did not respond, telling Yu Zongfeng that his decision to leave could not be shaken. Judging from his resolute attitude, Moon Zongfeng seemed to be about to say something when suddenly he felt something approaching, and others also noticed it. Looking towards the sky one after another, a shooting star slowly flashed past in the distance, pointing straight towards the desperate Great Wall, and everyone was on high alert. With a loud bang, a large pit was smashed into the ground of the Great Wall, and a figure lay in the pit, which was Jimeng. Isn't this infinite? No, he's not the infinite brother. When I first arrived at the middle underworld, I saw him commanding the metamorphosis class and even catching me. Infinite brother wouldn't do this. Xiao Qixio, who had just arrived at the Great Wall from the Burial Soul Valley, encountered such a scene and hurriedly went to inspect it. Upon hearing someone say it was infinite, Yu Xue immediately denied it and told everyone about her experience. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately looked at Yi and Jianbai. I have been guarding the desperate Great Wall and have never gone out. How could I appear in the underworld and save you? And you said there were two other people present, one of whom was Yi. but Yi and I just got to know each other. As a friend of He Lai, as for the swordsmanship pass to you, it's not my move either. It's possible that someone borrowed my appearance to act. Yi, shouldn't you come out and explain? Jianbai calmly explained, then looked at Yi with many doubts, and Yushue quickly asked who the person who taught him swordsmanship was. The plan still in the pit was ignored, and everyone present was waiting for Yi's answer, watched by a pair of eyes. Yi's heart was furry as he pondered how to fabricate a story. A figure accompanied the sound of poetry and horn, talking and laughing about heroes from ancient and modern times. I am the first to compete in martial arts. Who is the saint? Among thousands of heroes only the solitary peak sighs in all directions. As soon as he appeared, he caught everyone's attention. Yi breathed a sigh of relief and his figure slowly retreated, intending to sneak away. On the side, tired of receiving the sky, Yuan Wuxiang's gaze met, and then Yuan Wuxiang nodded and followed Yi away. 10 directions sighed expressionlessly, and a majestic sense of war surged out of their bodies, enveloping everyone present with endless pressure. Seeing this scene, as the lord of the city, Moon Zongfeng stood up and blocked in front of everyone. I don't know if you have any guidance on martial arts. As the words fell, without waiting for everyone to react, the 10 sighed and swung a fist, making a loud noise in the air, like thunder. Before the fist arrived, the air wave formed by the fist wind forced everyone to keep retreating. Upon seeing this, Yu Zongfeng couldn't help but feel a little anger surge in his heart. He felt his sword unsheathed behind his back, his long sword in his hand, and he let out a soft drink. A stunning black sword mark fell between heaven and earth, and in an instant, both heaven and earth were dyed with ink. The cold wind blew through, and with the help of emptiness, 10,000 swords were shattered. Not bad, but not enough. With a contemptuous remark, the 10 directions sighed and the fist moves changed. A golden dragon appeared from the fist, roaring loudly, ignoring the sky's 10,000 swords and charging straight towards the moon-hidden blade. Yu Zongfeng dared not be careless, and his mind moved. 10,000 swords fell like a storm and collided with the dragon. The giant dragon is fearless, and its sword and scales make a metallic tapping sound without harming it at all. Jian Bai and Lu Duqian Keijian Yu Zongfeng are clearly not opponents, and at the same time, they strike a pair of strong enemies. Blue blood, red heart, eternal photography. Dream says a sword responds to the long wind. Sword amnesty. Apocalypse confession. 3 people join hands, combining moves and increasing power. 2 moves intersect, and the sound of shock explodes. Amidst the tumultuous waves, sword cloth. 6 only heavenly shortages. Moon hidden blade. All 3 of them are defeated, and under the impact, Shifangtan also took a few steps back. Faced with the enemy's dominance, everyone's faces were solemn, except for Xiaoqi, who was eager to move forward despite the dissuasion of bathing snow and autumn water. My friend in front of me, you are the strongest expert I have ever seen. I wonder if I can learn a few moves from you, Xiaoqi. Shifang sighed and restrained his hand, not answering. Since my friend didn't answer, I'll assume you agreed. Subsequently, Xiaoqi fully lifted his true essence and strode forward, his body shining like a stream of light. In his hand, he wielded the heavenly intention sword, his righteous energy soaring high and his sword soaring into the air. The sword light flashed like a shooting star, and in the blink of an eye, it was already in front of Shifangtan. Shifang sighed calmly, remained motionless, slowly raised his right hand, and launched a preemptive strike, impartial, lightly flicking the sword with his fingers, hitting the flaw of this move. Originally a gentle blow, Xiaoqi felt the force on his sword as heavy as 1,000 pounds, tightly grasping the sword in his hand and not letting it go. I saw Xiaoqi even being knocked out with a substitute sword. Yushue and Qiushue hurriedly stepped forward to help Xiaoqi, who had fallen to the ground. Are you okay, Xiaoqi? Are you injured? Xiaoqi shook his head, moved his sore and numb hand for a moment, and excitedly said, he's really amazing. On the other side, Yuan Wuxiang followed Yi all the way to the outskirts of Xinghe Tianpu. At this moment, Yi stopped and sat on a huge stone, slowly speaking towards his back. Come out, I've been following you for so long. If you have any questions, let me know. Yuan Wuxiang, who was discovered holding a fan, appeared in front of Yi with a calm and elegant expression on his face. I don't think you are a wicked person, but at this moment, how much insider do you know about the chaos in the Middle Ean realm, and what role do you play in it? Yi, who was originally frivolous in his behavior, has transformed into a person who is profound and unfathomable. His sharp gaze seems to see through everything. I know everything, but I can't say that. You just need to know that soon a person named the Nameless Wizard will appear in the underworld. Remember, he is not trustworthy. By the way, can you lend me a hand and let me leave? After speaking, he slowly stood up and looked at the colorful yet dangerous Star River waterfall. He said to Yuan Wuxiang, since ancient times, evil cannot defeat justice, and this time it is the same. No matter what will happen in the future, it will calm down and bring him the calmness he deserves. Afterwards, Yi's hand showed a bow in his heart and an arrow opened the passage, while still pondering the meaning of Yuan Wuxiang in the words. He raised his head to look at Yi, and with a move of boundless power, he helped the passage open. Before leaving, Yi smiled and handed a token made of black iron to Yuan Wuxiang. It had a martial character on the front and a holy character surrounded by 6 inexplicable symbols on the back. This token is just a token of gratitude for your help to me. At the appropriate time, he will help you once. As the words fell, Yi transformed into a stream of light and disappeared into the passage. End of this chapter.